Inside the final hours of Anne Boleyn on the morning of May 19, 1536, the Tower of London stood shrouded in an eerie silence. Within its ancient walls, a woman who had once captivated a king and changed the course of English history prepared to meet her fate. Anne Boleyn, the second wife of Henry VIII, would live only hours more. The night before her execution, Anne Boleyn spent her final hours in the Queen's house within the Tower complex. This same building had once been her residence during happier times, when she awaited her coronation as Queen of England. Now, it served as her prison cell, a cruel irony that was not lost on the condemned Queen. According to historical accounts, Anne appeared remarkably composed during these final hours. The Constable of the Tower, Sir William Kingston, wrote detailed reports of her behavior, noting her alternating moments of prayer, conversation, and even occasional laughter. This was not the hysteria one might expect from a woman facing death, but rather the complex emotional state of someone trying to make sense of her dramatic fall from grace. As darkness fell on May 18th, Anne requested the presence of her ladies-in-waiting. These women, who had served her during her rise to power, now witnessed her final preparations. She spoke with them about her life, her regrets, and her hopes for her daughter Elizabeth, who was barely 2 years old at the time, and had always been deeply religious, despite the accusations of adultery and treason that led to her downfall. During these final hours, she spent considerable time in prayer. She held her prayer book close, seeking comfort in the familiar words that had sustained her throughout her tumultuous reign as queen. One of the most poignant aspects of her final night was her concern for those she was leaving behind. She worried about her daughter's future, knowing that Elizabeth had been declared illegitimate following Anne's conviction. She could not have known then that this same daughter would become one of England's greatest monarchs. Anne woke early on May 19th. Historical records suggest she had slept little, but she appeared alert and determined to face her death with dignity. She dressed carefully, choosing a gray damask gown with a low neckline, as was customary for executions to ensure the executioner's blade would find its mark cleanly. She attended her final mass, receiving communion one last time. This spiritual preparation was crucial to Anne, who, despite her Protestant leanings, sought to reconcile herself with God before her death. She prayed not only for her own soul, but for the king who had condemned her, demonstrating a remarkable capacity for forgiveness in her final moments. Sir William Kingston reported several conversations with Anne during her final hours. She spoke about the French swordsman who had been specially brought to England for her execution, commenting on his skill, and expressing hope that her death would be swift. This pragmatic acceptance of her fate revealed the strength of character that had made her such a formidable figure at court. Anne also used these final hours to distribute her few remaining possessions. She gave away small tokens and mementos to her ladies-in-waiting, ensuring that something of her memory would survive. These gestures, small as they were, represented her attempt to maintain some control over her legacy in her powerless final hours. As the morning progressed, Anne took great care in her final preparations. She arranged for her hair to be pinned up and covered with a white coif, the traditional headdress for execution. This careful attention to her appearance was not vanity, but rather a determination to meet death, as a queen should, with dignity and composure. She spent time writing final letters, though most of these have been lost to history. What we do know is that she maintained her innocence to the end, never confessing to the crimes of adultery, incest, and treason for which she had been condemned. This steadfast denial, even in the face of death, speaks to either her genuine innocence or her extraordinary courage. When the time came, Anne walked steadily from her quarters to the scaffold that had been erected on Tower Green. Unlike the public executions that were common at Tower Hill, Anne's execution was to be relatively private, attended only by a small crowd of officials and nobility. As she walked, observers noted her calm demeanor. She did not weep or cry out, but maintained the regal bearing that had characterized her throughout her life. This final procession was perhaps her greatest performance, a demonstration that even in death, she remained every inch a queen. On the scaffold, Anne delivered her final speech. She spoke carefully, knowing that her words would be scrutinized and reported. She did not proclaim her innocence directly, as this would have been seen as treason against the king's judgment, but she asked for prayers and forgiveness. Her final words revealed her understanding of the political necessities of her situation, while maintaining her personal dignity. She commended her soul to God and asked those present to pray for the king, showing remarkable grace under the most extreme circumstances imaginable. The final hours of Anne Boleyn reveal a woman of extraordinary complexity and strength. Faced with death at the age of just 35, she demonstrated a composure that impressed even her enemies. Whether innocent or guilty of the charges against her, she met her end with a dignity that has echoed through the centuries. These last hours also remind us of the brutal realities of Tudor politics, where even queens were not safe from the executioner's block. Anne Boleyn's final day serves as a powerful testament to human resilience in the face of ultimate adversity, and the enduring power of maintaining one's dignity, even when all else has been stripped away. Her death marked the end of one of the most dramatic chapters in English royal history, but her legacy lived on through her daughter Elizabeth, who would prove that Anne Boleyn's bloodline was destined for greatness that even Henry VIII could not have imagined. The sword fell swift and true, and Anne Boleyn's remarkable life came to its end. But her story, and the courage she showed in those final hours, continues to fascinate and inspire us nearly 5 centuries later.